Hi guys, well, as the title suggests, it is mission complete. I'm pleased to say that I managed to finish and complete the row challenge. It is and has been almost 10 days since the row, and it's taken me about that amount of time to recover. But I'm really pleased to say that it went really well. I'm so grateful and humble for all the support that I've had over, well, certainly the last few months, but especially on the day as well. I have friends and family nipping in and popping in, and lots of well wishes and sort of a huge amount of sponsorship. So really thankful for that. But I wanted to just pull this quick video together just to give you a bit of an overall summary of how it went. And then talk to anyone perhaps who might want to do something like this in the future. One of the things that I found, there isn't actually that much advice out there for anyone who's done this sort of type thing, the 24-hour row challenge. And I found that I wanted to understand what my approach and what my strategy was going to be, and there wasn't really an awful lot of info out there. So I'm hoping that this would help and serve some people in some capacity to help them if they want to do something similar. Really pleased that everything went well, and I'm now going to just run through a couple of things, really, just give you, anyone looking to do something similar, tell them what my strategy was and my approach to the whole event, then give you my results, what I managed to achieve, and then I'll do a few thank yous at the end. So just before I kick off with my strategy, what my approach was to the whole challenge, I am in my late 40s, 6'4" and about 102 kilograms, there or thereabouts. It does fluctuate. This 24-hour row challenge really has been something that I've wanted to do for quite some time. I've always had this in the back of my mind, certainly in the last 5 years, thinking this is something I'd like to try and give it a go. And had never really had the time nor the sort of inclination to get it done, really. But I was around about 9 months ago, I thought, right, I'm going to set myself as a goal now. I've got to, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it now. So 9 months ago, I contacted a friend of a friend, Andy Ray, who is a strength and conditioning coach, who was an ex-rugby player himself, professional rugby player, and he helped guide me through what my approach is going to be. And if I have any advice, getting a coach to help you with this sort of stuff is fantastic. And Andy was brilliant, guiding me through what my training sessions were going to look like, what my nutrition was going to look like, all the way through. Really just serving as a sounding board as well. Any problems I had, any injuries, any niggles, he was helping me sort of through those. And again, psychologically as well, it's nice to chat to someone about these sort of things and get someone else's thoughts, rather than just being stuck in your own mind a lot of the time. So I pulled out Andy on board, and Andy helped me sort of structure what my approach is going to be. So the strategy, it changed in a little bit. My approach to the row, I had all these visions of potentially trying to get some world record, which quite early on I was humbled by my own capacity of not being able to achieve what these phenomenal athletes are able to do. So for example, the world record distances for something like a 24-hour row sits at around about 300,000 meter mark, maybe over. I think 210,000 meters one chap's got, which is phenomenal. But having done a few hours on the row, I thought if I could sustain this sort of pace, I could do this. Okay, well, reality kicks in quite early, and you start to realize this isn't going to be possible. You will probably die on the rower if you keep doing this. So having done quite a few longer training sessions, certainly towards the latter end of my 9 months of when I initially thought I wanted to do this, having trialed some longer rows, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, starting to understand what my pace should and could be. We ended up with a pace which was realistic and something I knew I could achieve. And that pace was 2 minutes 25 to 2 minutes 30 per 500 meters, which felt comfortable. From the outset, it feels very slow, but after 8 hours or so, you start to appreciate the fact that I need to keep this energy level, and that helped. My timing, I was toying with different ways I wanted to break this down. Some people would approach it in different ways. In fact, I couldn't find much advice, if I'm honest, on the internet to give me sort of approaches to this. So I had to work out, how do I want to take this 24-hour chunk? How do I want to break it down for me comfortably? Some people were taking it where they do 6 hours on, a bit of a break, then back to go again, 3 hours, 4 hours on. I wanted to break down into smaller chunks, and I'd found that some people had done it where they'd set themselves out 10,000 meters per hour and then just keep going every 24 hours. So ultimately they have a final distance of 240,000 meters. I ended up locking in 52 minutes on, 8 minutes off. So 52 minutes of rowing, get off, take food, food and nutrition and hydration, have a stretch if needed to, and a toilet break in that 8 minutes, and then get back on. Having tried that a few times, 8 minutes starts to go quite quickly. So you have to really plan how your break looks and what you're going to do with it, and have everything in place close by to you. So 52 minutes on, maintaining a comfortable pace, which I knew I could achieve, and then just going about it in that way. My breaks, as I said, they are taking on around about, it worked out, having trialed a few different amounts, 50, 60, 70 grams of carbohydrates per hour felt most comfortable. My carbohydrates were made up of pita bread with peanut butter and jam, some energy gels, rehydration sachets as well, and some isotonic drinks. And some Haribo as well. And a banana. Bananas I've found were incredibly useful. I ended up eating probably around about 20 bananas throughout my challenge. So finding things that are most comfortable and sit in your tummy most comfortably was the hardest thing, because I tried bread, for example, rather than pita bread, and I found bread quite not very comfortable on the tummy. So that's what I tried a lot of, really, just throughout my training, alongside the actual pacing of it, is what nutrition works for me, and hydrating myself as much as I can, taking as much water, not too much, but enough to make me feel comfortable. So my results, how did I get on? I'm pleased to say, obviously, I completed it, which is great. My target of 258,000, I was just short. I came in at 252,000, or just over 252,000 meters, which I was pleased with. I think in my back of my mind, I thought, make sure you get over 250,000. Reason for the not quite hitting my target, there were some periods in the row where I know that I was slowing up for various reasons. I think one of those was when you're having conversations, I wasn't realizing that I was slowing up on my pace. It's quite difficult to maintain that focus for the whole time, so having conversations really helped. But a result of that was I was slowing up during those conversations. So ultimately, all those things added up, I think, and it meant that I didn't quite get to my final target, but it was a long slog, and towards the end, I'm probably quite pleased that I got what I got, really. Pace-wise, yeah, obviously, without getting to that distance, my pace dropped off towards the latter stages. I kind of anticipated that to a certain extent, but not as much as I did, and I hit a few walls, if I'm honest, throughout. Those walls of sort of self-doubt kicking in. In fact, I had a few of them, if I'm honest. Hour 9, hour 20, around about hour 20, and definitely around about hour 22, which is a bit of a bummer, really. When it's certainly towards the end, you can see the light, and these sort of self-doubt elements start to come into your head. And it's all sort of mind over matter. It wasn't necessarily about fitness towards the back end. It is just sort of dragging yourself through it and gritting your teeth. And luckily I managed to do it. But it's quite nice to know that you can do that and fight through those sort of stages and periods of negativity that go in your head. And I think every person doing any challenge, it hits them at some point. You hear about marathon runners talking about the wall. And I think I had a few of those periods in the row. So that's how I went, really. And in nutrition, I managed to stick to my nutrition plan pretty closely. So that's sort of 50, 60, 70 grams of carbohydrates per hour towards the back end, actually, of the challenge. So into sort of hour 16 plus, I was doing it by feel, really. There were some hours where I felt that I couldn't take on much more nutrition just because my tummy was starting to feel uncomfortable. Position you're sat in, food's not getting to go down its normal channels, if you like, as normally as you would be if you're standing up, even running. And certainly that's how I felt. So nutrition-wise, it was good. I stuck to the plan as much as I could, really. And post-race, if you want to call it that, or post-challenge, I had to make sure that I didn't just go and pig out ultimately. I wanted to make sure that I was taking enough rehydration and sort of carbohydrates and to a certain extent protein as well, just to get my body back into normal levels. It took me around about a day or two for my tummy to resettle itself. Now, obviously, the main reason for me doing this challenge was to help try and raise funds and awareness for my sister's charity, Lilomi. And I'm really humbled by the whole experience of doing a charity challenge like this, because it really makes you appreciate others around me who do these sorts of charity challenges. And when you start gaining traction and support from people around you, you really become so grateful. And actually, when you're doing the challenge, it really carries you through. And it sounds a bit fluffy, but I promise you, it really, when I was sat in the rower, thinking about the number of people that are helping out and watching and supporting me, really does carry you through. But with all the fantastic support and the number of people that sort of were able to sponsor, we managed to raise close to £5,000, so £4,800 so far for my sister's charity, Lilomi. So thank you very much to everyone who supported us. So if I was asked what my advice would be for anyone looking to undertake something similar to this, any similar type of challenges, my number one bit of advice, my first bit of advice would be get yourself a coach. A coach who can guide you through and help you through those darker times or tougher times. I was fortunate enough to have Andy Ray on board, and now, as I explained before, Andy is a strength and conditioning coach, but he was able to help me with my nutrition, planning out my training, all of which I could have done myself, if I'm honest, but having someone there just as a sort of a sounding board for thoughts and ideas and giving you some guidance. And to a certain extent, he's got experience where I don't. Definitely on the nutrition and to a certain extent the training side and the methodology he uses. So that was exceptional for me, extremely helpful. My second bit of advice would be making sure that you make things as efficient for yourself as possible. So that's from every angle. It could be your rowing technique, making sure it's as efficient as you can get on that rower, because whilst you might be able to bash out a 2K and get a great time, there's a whole different style and technique to that of a more of an endurance style distance. So 2, 3, 4 hours marathons or 100Ks, or in this case, a 24-hour K. Your row technique is very different, as is your sort of race plan. And then also covering your nutrition. Making sure that is as efficient as you can possibly make it and streamlined, making sure you've got access to your food whilst you're doing your race. So it's not, you don't have to walk a great distance in order to take your food on. And even if you've got to have a toilet break, making sure you don't have to run too far to the toilet. Can you access the toilet close by? All of these things all add up. So making sure everything is efficient as you possibly can, that will make things a lot easier for you. So that would be my second bit of advice. My third bit of advice isn't necessarily advice, it's more of a just anecdotal. I think from the outset, I thought it was going to be a fitness challenge. I had to be the fit as I could possibly be. And as a result, through your training, you become fitter anyway. But I soon started to realise that it was more about sort of mind over matter. It was a mental thing more than physical. Having never done anything endurance related, sports wise, something like this really does make you think. You have to be so mentally tough to do certain careers and jobs that require you to be on the ball 24 hours, certainly 24 hours back to back. And these sort of athletes who can do these sorts of things on a regular basis, hats off to you. I hit a couple of walls in my race, hour 9, hour 20, hour 22. These are just self-doubt kicks in. You start to question why you're doing it, can you do it, and you start to almost feign injuries. Shoulder feels sore, I've got to have to give up, I can't continue. You can fight through those thoughts, and I've not had to do it many times in my life, if I'm totally honest, really fight through these thoughts. Certainly not recently. And so the mind over matter thing really came into play, and it really made me realize that these sorts of challenges are less about the physical side and more about what's in your head and what you can sort of push yourself through. And I'd like to think I've learned from it really, and I can use it sort of in other stages and parts of my life. And that's getting quite deep, but definitely mind over matter is really important. So those would be my 3 bits of advice. I wanted to also take this opportunity to thank a number of people. Everyone who was able to support and sponsor me, I'm so grateful, and thank you so much. The support was phenomenal, especially throughout the challenge. I was having text messages read out to me, WhatsApps, in the comments from the live feed. They really helped pull me through, and some of them quite funny and amusing. But thank you so much for everyone that supported in that way. It was brilliant. I'd also like to thank Andy Ray, my coach, who helped compile my nutrition and planning for the whole event 9 months out. Thank you, mate. My sister Bethany, who runs the Lilomi charity, who I was doing this whole event for. Bethany's been a huge amount of support throughout, and she was down here in Devon with me, helping out in the office here in the gym, helping in every way she could really, and stayed up throughout most of it, as did my partner Lorraine. Thank you, Lorraine. She's put up with an awful lot over the last few months. Long row practice sessions on weekends where I've sort of neglected some of my daddy duties, if you like, to our youngest son, who was also brilliant. But so Lorraine, thank you. Bethany, thank you. Andy, thank you. And everyone who sponsored and helped support in whatever way you could. It was brilliant. Thank you very much. What next? If I'm honest, I don't know. I'm going to take a bit of time out really in terms of giving myself and setting myself any sort of more challenges. This has taken 9 months, there or thereabouts, of thinking and training, if you like, and a lot of weekends taken up with long row sessions. So I don't know what I'm going to be next. I know that there'll be something down the line, but until then, stay tuned, and I'll be in touch soon to tell you what my next one's going to be. Bye bye.
Here's Mark getting ready for the roll.
So it's 52 minutes on, 8 minutes break, 24 times. Good. We're all good. We're on hour. Just finished hour 2. All okay. I'll do a bit of last touch up in a second. And I'll just jump to the food. This is the roasting. Alright, it's getting hard now. We're now just finished hour 8, so 1/3 of the way in. Gone through hopefully. I feel a bit better. So thanks everyone who's commented there. I can see Thea, Coach, Andy P, Mum.
How you feeling?
Yeah, halfway, 12 hours down, 12 hours to go. Sorry. Yeah, we're just on hour 30. We're going to hour 14 now. Good. I don't feel currently tired. As in, tired, sleepy, too tired. Four hours to go. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It's 4:24 a.m. Friday, the 21st of June.
World of pain. That's so nice. Oh.